Ambition.
Nah, fuck that shit. Y'all already know what time it is. Hey, yo, Johnny, it's time to turn up on these niggas, man.
Call me when you get lost!
There is nothing more inspiring than watching someone dedicate themselves to a goal. To chase an aspiration, to chase a dream, is to truly live, I think. But it's not just simply about completing a task or reaching a goal. Nah, man, it's about drive. The mindset of the ambitious. Dedicate everything you are, every moment, every minute, every second to the dream, to strive for the impossible, to do whatever it takes. Witnessing someone fight to the bitter end to finally turn their dream into a reality, there is no feeling like it. It makes me feel like I can do anything. That's why I love them. Why I love the ambitious character. Now, there are many examples of ambitious characters in every different type of media. From Naruto wanting to become Hokage, to Nathan Drake wanting to prove himself as a treasure hunter, to Andrew Neiman wanting to be a great jazz player, and also wanting J.K. Simmons to shut up for a change.
If you deliberately sabotage my band, I will fuck you like a pig.
But you know how this works by now, don't you? The real question is, what would I classify as the perfect ambitious character model? Well, funny enough, one of my favorite mangas of all time is about a different ambitious jazz player, Blue Giant. J.K. Simmons is not in this one though. Sorry.
I swear to fucking God, I will stop being so polite. Get the fuck out of my sight before I demolish you.
It follows the story of the protagonist, Dai, who falls in love with jazz at a young age and chases his dream to become a prolific jazz saxophone player. The lengths Dai will go to achieve his dream despite the odds, and the character interactions he has with his family, friends, and random strangers is some of the most endearing material I've ever read. My personal favorite section of the story is the quiet conversation Dai has with his father over dinner. Dai expressed his unexplainable love for playing the saxophone, his inability to put it into words or share it with other people, knowing it's not a traditional career path to become a jazz player, but also feeling the strong need to do it, the want to do it. You can feel the fear in his words as he's saying all of this to his father, but then is greeted by approval. I remember shedding a tear reading this part, being someone who had a similar moment with my dad. Blue Giant is a beautiful depiction of an ambitious character whose drive has varying effects on the people around him, and it had an intense effect on me as a reader. It's good, and I don't really get a chance to talk about it much with people, so I think you should read it sometime when you get a chance. Also, some girl I was dating once deadass took the first volume I had out of my house. I'm not sure why she did that. Like, who just takes something like that? You know what I mean? Like, I remember saying she could read it while we were chilling in my room, but I didn't think she was actually gonna take it. And to make matters worse, I wasn't into her all that much, so I didn't ask for it back, because that would have required me to speak to her again, and I really didn't want to do that. So I kind of just let that one go.
What is that sound?
But whatever, man. I just want the volume again, because for some reason I can't find it in any bookstore I go
Whose
to.
voice is that?
Amazon, but the feeling of finding a manga volume for a series you're really into,
Is that
buying it with your own hands,
me?
like, I feel the sensation. Hunter, hunted. I feel high, yet the chase remains. To break free, to rise above rain, I seek. Until then, what's here remains. To be praised, to be denied. I must see it through. I love the chase, running, hiding. I see it coming. Satisfaction. To rise above all. I'll achieve it soon. I feel the sensation. Fight or flight. It's constant. My hands shaking. I should just pick one.
I, Johnny Star, am flight. I am fear. I am ambition. Love, depression, anxiety. I seek the sun to see it through. If God exists, could I become God too?
Oh. There you are. We were talking earlier and you disappeared. Which wouldn't be the first time. You know, I'm starting to wonder where you go after our little talks. What do you see? What did you see? You know, the reason I created you was so I could have someone to be honest with. Trust is important in any friendship. Real friends shouldn't keep things from each other. That's what we are, right? Friends. Sorry, I guess I'm a bit stressed at the moment. I tried going on one of my tangents again with Krista. You know, shrinks. They get testy when you don't let them into your head. It's fine. We have more important matters to discuss. That being finishing our conversation from earlier. Ambitious characters are really important to me and have always given me the framework to achieve my own dreams. But lately, I feel like something has changed. I'm not sure how to explain it, and I wasn't sure how to fix this problem I'm having. So I want to explore the concept of the ambitious character in things like anime and manga, so maybe I can express how I'm feeling better and perhaps find an answer with you together. Sounds fun? Good. So let's have an honest conversation about ambition. Now look, I know, I always end up talking about One Piece, but hey, it's literally my number 2 favorite series of all time. I've read it front to back like 5 times. And One Piece is a perfect place to start talking about ambition. The whole series is built around people's dreams, and those dreams having a wider effect on the world itself. One Piece is littered with ambitious characters, but we're gonna focus on the most obvious character who depicts this concept perfectly. Wait. You didn't think I was gonna talk about Luffy, did you? He gets enough love from me as it is, and I also don't view Luffy as the archetype of the ambitious character, or at the very least, not as much as the demon swordsman himself. Roronoa Zoro is practically designed to be the embodiment of dedication, chasing the title of the strongest swordsman to ever exist, a promise made to a deceased friend that has guided him to this point in the series. Zoro treats every encounter as another step closer to that dream, taking advantage of battles with worthy opponents, especially swordsmen, as a way to test his strength as he climbs the ladder. It gives his fights an added layer of intrigue, where not only are we watching to see Zoro overcome another fighter, but also to see how he will grow from the fight. Looking at his battles with Mr. One or Pika or King, Zoro is able to walk away from the fight with a new perspective or technique that will lead him closer to achieving his goal. He will push himself to the brink even if it means death, because he believes his life was forfeit the moment he chose this path to begin with. The ambitious character, to me, is one who dedicates their very being to the goal they hope to achieve. It's inspiring to see someone turn every opportunity into a chance to improve, and that's something I would like to implement more into my own life. Zoro is a character that makes me feel like I can be dedicated, be someone who can focus on my own path. What I also love about Zoro is how his dedication plays a role in all of his decision making. For someone who comes off as a one-track mind meathead. Zoro is extremely pragmatic and often more level-headed than characters like Nami, offering words of wisdom, much-needed commentary, and even needed sacrifice in One Piece's most dire moments. His dedicated nature bleeds into his relationships and his behavior when it matters most. I often see fans of One Piece bring up moments like nothing matters or not here to play pirate to showcase Zoro's pragmatism, but my favorite moment is how he handled things during Water 7 after the fight with Usopp. At the most uncertain point in the arc, Usopp leaving the crew, Sanji disappearing, Robin seemingly betraying them, the crew seems to be falling apart, and everyone is rushing to find answers to move forward, but it was Zoro who decided to wait and observe. When the time came to make a move, Zoro was there to steer Luffy in the right direction. This may come off as laziness, but I see this as an example of Zoro showing off how dedicated he was to making sure the crew came out of this mess in One Piece. Pun intended. Not making unnecessary moves or judgments, thinking with a level head. That is who Zoro is. Dedicated to his dream and his crew. Alright, so dedication, important element. But being ambitious also takes a lot of courage. It can be scary. People will judge. The task may seem too difficult, the goal too far out of reach. That is when you must develop an iron will, the confidence to reach the gods.
俺様の名はブラックスター。神を超える男だ。
Black Star is one of my favorite characters of all time, but he wasn't always. The first time I ever watched Soul Eater, I found him incredibly annoying. His boastful nature just to fumble the simplest of tasks didn't really hit home for me. Sure, he was strong and cool looking, but I was more drawn to characters like Kid. Quirky characters who could lock in and be the strongest in the room if need be. Kid prioritized being perfect in every way, and at the time, I wanted to be like that until I got to this scene.
By talking constantly about what a star he is and how big he is, Black Star is actually driving himself without even meaning to.
Driving himself?
What once seemed like misplaced bravado was shown to be the key behind his ability to keep going through mistakes. Believing in himself made his soul stronger. Like a light appearing above my head, this idea sparked something in me. Fake it till you make it. Could I do it too? From this moment on, I understood Black Star a bit more. Little by little, this character that I didn't care for would become someone that would inspire me the most. The confidence of the ambitious character will allow them to push past the words of naysayers. Push past not only the limits placed on you by others, but also the limits you place on yourself. Because of Black Star's confidence, he was able to overcome many things. The history of his family's name, the darkness within his own heart, and the path of the warrior that had claimed so many before him, all while holding on to his mindset of,
I'll surpass the power of the gods.
It would become his superpower that could even fight back against concepts beyond human comprehension and allow him to ascend above the very gods. Actually, I feel like I'm being too poetic for this point to get across, so let's just run through some things Black Star has done to drive this point home. Black Star has grabbed a laser out of the sky with his bare hands and threw it back at the enemy, countered the effects of a sound attack by out-screaming it because it just bothered him, picked up the tooth of the moon and threw it, taught himself how to fly because he saw someone else do it, took a full powered laser to the mouth, then shot it back out because fuck it, I guess. And that's just to name a few. Black Star stands as a reminder to me that no matter where you come from, who your family is, no matter how human you are, and how many mistakes you've made, no matter what, believe in yourself, and you can do it. Have faith in you. And if you do that, any ambition can be achieved. Even learning how to fly. Maybe don't actually try that though, especially into like open traffic.
To the freeway, y'all!
Okay, don't do it.
To the freeway!
He's
speaking figuratively.
Dedication and confidence. Yeah, those themes might be all you need to make a good, ambitious character, but taking it a step further, one must look at the ambition itself, the goal. What is it? What does it look like? Why is it so important to achieve? The answer will vary from person to person, but it's gotta be something. It has to mean something, for better or for worse.
もし俺の生き様を否定するような奴らがいるなら、そいつらの大切な人間を片っ端から殺してやる。
Much like Black Star, Sasuke Uchiha was a character I did not understand. When you think about characters that are inspiring and ambitious, Naruto usually is the character that comes to mind, and it was that way for me too. Naruto made me feel like I can do anything as long as I put my mind to it, to never give up, to never go back on my word, no matter how tough things got. In contrast, I felt nothing for Sasuke. He was edgy, cold, and super focused on some concept of obvious poisonous revenge that I just couldn't relate to. Even though everyone who was a fan of the series seemed to love him, I could never understand why. Sasuke always felt like less of a character and more of a vessel for the theme of revenge, which works for the story Kishimoto was trying to tell, but it wasn't enough for me. But then during a recent reread through Naruto, I realized something. Behind the cold stare, behind the vengeance, behind the wall that I couldn't peer over before was a boy who loved his family. The driving force behind Sasuke's actions from the very start of the series was not some Avengers oath to strike down perfect justice or an empty vessel of a lesson where revenge could lead you. To close your eyes when being asked by one of the greatest ninja to ever exist what you want to do with everything that's going on, to simply remember the time you spent with your brother, the person that mattered to you the most, to see the pain in his face from remembering these thoughts and the love that he felt for him. This completely shifted my perspective on this character and truly made me appreciate to have a purpose and meaning to your existence and why you fight. This panel turned Sasuke into my favorite character in Naruto. It made me remember every moment like it on Sasuke's journey. Those quiet moments of contemplation in even the most stressful situations where he is reminded of why he keeps going. What has guided him up to this point are the memories of those he has lost and the weight of their souls resting on his shoulders. The specifics of Sasuke's ambition may sway. The actual goal itself changes as he follows his path, but the purpose behind it all and what it means for him to achieve it has never wavered. To avenge his loved ones and right the wrongs placed upon his clan. To honor the memories he holds dear of his mother, his father, and his beloved older brother. The ambitious character that guides me holds dear to the purpose behind their ambition. It's not enough to achieve for the sake of achieving it. It has to mean something, to feed the soul or to heal it. I related to Sasuke in that way. My ambition meant showing myself that my life was worth living, that I have something to offer. Fighting tooth and nail to prove something like that, even if others don't understand, it means something to me. I often think about something Sasuke said to Kakashi. Surely he wasn't in his right mind when he said it, but these words stuck with me still. Having the passing thought of giving up on his crusade, to turn back to his friends at the Hidden Leaf, only to hear screams and laughter. The screams of his clan being slaughtered, and the laughter of those who get to live happily because of it. To Sasuke, letting go means forsaking the mission he is set on, forsaking his love for his clan. Sasuke was proven wrong by Naruto that heading straight into darkness was not the answer to honoring his family and finding peace. That it was okay to create new ways to love and keep living in the light in the end. But I still admire Sasuke for who he is. I didn't understand it at first. Maybe it came with maturing and seeing the world through my own eyes, but I can see what I had been missing now. Sasuke's purpose was not about vengeance, but about love. And that is a powerful thing. Dedication, confidence, and purpose. The building blocks of the ambitious character. Qualities that throughout my own journey, I've tried to adopt to achieve my own goals. Surprisingly, I have anime and manga to thank for a lot of my development as a person. I know it may sound pretty lame, but as someone who is fascinated by characters, themes, and the deeper message being presented by the authors of these stories, I found myself being inspired by profound words of wisdom or relating to fictional characters more than people I've met. These characters have provided me the tools to keep going on my path to achieve my dream. That being ambitious and chasing an ambition is to truly live. Or at least that's what I thought. I'm not sure if you know this, since we've never talked about it before. I have a YouTube channel. I've been working at it for a long time now, and it was the most important thing in the world to me. In the 7 years of making videos, I've been through so much. Heartbreak, depression. The pain I've experienced has brought me to my lowest points. But the one thing that has remained constant has been the channel. My goal became to make something of it, express myself to the fullest through videos, get better at editing, release more videos, bigger projects, more subscribers, more views. My ambition was to be the greatest in my niche that I could possibly be, to prove to everyone that I could do it, to myself that I'm worth it. If I could just get to 10K, I will have made it. Just one more video, one more idea, one more upload. I can do it. I have to stay dedicated. I have to stay confident. Remember the purpose behind it. Just keep going. I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. I did it. I made it. 10K subscribers. All my hard work had finally paid off. But why do I feel so empty still? Was it all an illusion? At first glance, it might seem that Sasuke Aizen is an ambitious man, or Shinigami. After all, he is the central antagonist of Bleach, whose ultimate goal is to become the new god emperor of the universe. That's about as ambitious of a goal as a character could possibly have, right? But what if I told you Aizen's ambition was another one of his illusions? At the end of his fight with Aizen, Ichigo reflects on their battle with Urahara and expresses that he felt in the fallen captain's blade was eons of loneliness, looking for someone, anyone, to call an equal, only to come up short. Aizen is unique among typical ambitious characters. His strength was not something strived for. It was a natural phenomenon bestowed upon him at birth, so he never had that struggle we would associate with a Black Star or Zoro. Instead, Aizen had a different problem. Aizen is a man cursed by his own exceptionalism, whether it was his ungodly amounts of Ryatsu, superior intellect, or even skill with the blade. Aizen found himself eternally peerless. So after hundreds of years of looking, he gave up and concluded that if he could not find an equal, then surely that must mean he was destined to rule over everyone as a god. But there was already a god, the Soul King. So Aizen finally found hope in finding not only an equal, but someone who might even be better than him, someone to serve, and finally give him an excuse to just be another Soul Reaper like everyone else. But when he found out his only chance for peace was nothing more than a candied corpse, he went crazy. And that's the story of Bleach. Thank you. Yes, I am very smart. In that entire time, Aizen never gave up on his hope of finding an equal. Gin, Tozen, the Espada, and Ichigo were all surrogates, an attempt to maybe foster something better than himself. That, however, was one of the only two failures Sasuke Aizen would ever experience in his now immortal life. The second was his defeat to Ichigo Kurosaki. This fight finally revealed what was behind Aizen's facade, a desire to lose. The Hogyokyu, a veritable wishing orb that Aizen had fused with since Aizen's dual motivations, his desire to ascend to godhood, and his desire to be normal. So through Ichigo, or through his own self-doubt, Aizen walked away an immortal, more powerful than ever, but one that would be imprisoned for 20,000 years, now a prisoner to the world he betrayed, but in a way content. Losing was an experience that was foreign to him, and it was through Ichigo that he could finally feel anything related to a normal experience. By the end, we can conclude that Aizen's ambition was just another cover. It was an illusion he gave himself as an excuse to keep going. But as is the case with Aizen's curse, even this false purpose he gave himself was not only a legitimate grievance to the Soul Society, but the entire time Aizen was trying to lose. But his own talent wouldn't let him. Aizen is not a typical ambitious character. He's capable, competent, talented, skilled beyond measure. But these abilities, even more than his Shikai, hide how little his heart was in it to begin with. And therein lies the problem. For as much as I would like to believe that I was doing everything I could to be more like Zoro or Black Star or even Sasuke in my approach to my own ambition, I find myself realizing that I was behaving more like Aizen. I had placed myself under an illusion to hide from my own truth. Like him, my ambition was a veil placed over my heart, and now that I have achieved what I believed I've wanted, I see the veil lifted, and what is left is my mother's face. When I was a kid, my mom passed away. She was my first friend. She looked out for me. When I was scared or upset, she always knew how to make me feel better. She never judged me or made me feel small. Even when she got sick, I felt I could always depend on her. My last conversation with her was her calming me down after I was really upset that my sister put my Beautiful Joe GameCube disc on the ground. I was crying, closed the door, locked myself in my room. My dad would pass me the phone and her words would soothe me like they always did. When she died, I felt alone. The only person in the world who understood me had left and wasn't coming back. I would go on living with that void sitting in my heart and would do anything I could to fill it. I became a people pleaser at school, do dumb things to make friends. I would get in trouble and fall in with the wrong people just so someone would like me. I would lash out at home, fight back against my dad or my stepmom or my siblings. I was quick to anger, always feeling like an outcast, like they were out to get me. You know, that feeling of loneliness becomes so ingrained in you that it's hard to see when people are just trying to help, especially when you're a teenager. You're trying to figure it out all on your own, shut loved ones out, which just makes the void even bigger. I internalized everything. Bad grades, shortcomings, rejections, scoldings. I started hating myself, asking what was the point of someone like me continuing on when there seemingly was no one who wanted me around. Wouldn't it just be better if I wasn't here? Wouldn't everyone be better off? I don't know if any of this sounds cliche, but I carry that feeling with me still. I've even attempted to end it all twice now. I'm sorry. I know this is a lot. You know, I feel like I've tried everything to fill this void. I've put up so many walls. I've cried so many tears. I've worked so many sleepless nights. Every video, every edit, every upload has just been me trying to fill this void of loneliness with validation from strangers. That's what all this was for. In the end, that's how it feels. I've made so many friends and I've met so many people and I've been given so much praise for all of the work I've done, but I don't feel any different. I don't have the answer. I didn't find it, and I'm afraid that I never will. What was the point? Why did I keep going? I don't know what to do now. I just want to be at peace. How do I do it? How can I finally just... How do I be free?
Freedom cannot be forced into existence, nor can it be won through painful struggle. Freedom cannot be bought or sold. It has nothing to do with one's social status. One's profession is of no consequence. In order for you to accept yourself as you are and live with your soul at peace, you must simply teach yourself to let it be. Only then will you discover freedom.
Once you've decided to live by the sword, it doesn't matter whether you're right or wrong. What matters most is whether it's fun. Vagabond is full of wisdom and memorable quotes from characters that inhabit its pages, but this quote in particular was the one that stuck out the most during my read-through. To live by the sword. It's a concept that permeates throughout Vagabond's narrative. At first glance, it is simply the act of fighting with the blade, which is something I'm naturally drawn to, being a fan of media like Samurai Champloo, Sword of the Stranger, and Seven Samurai. But in actuality, the way of the sword is more of an ideology, a state of being that can be applied to any individual's way of life. Vagabond is littered with well-written, engaging character stories revolving around understanding their own way of the sword. Many in the literal sense asking questions like, what does it mean to be a swordsman? Is it fame? A powerful technique? Living without fear? Seeking death through combat? For others, the question becomes less straightforward. Is your way of the sword to be a good father, to be a role model for your clan, to sacrifice what you must for your family, to live a good life? If the way of the sword can be seen as one's ambition or purpose in life, what does that look like for me? What is my way of the sword? These were questions that I was left asking myself as I read this story. Vagabond is almost mystical in the way it's crafted. Unlike other series I've come across, Vagabond almost comes alive and forces you inside its narrative, asking the reader what its words mean to them. What started as a simple read-through of a manga that had been heavily recommended to me by close friends became a journey of self-discovery and an opportunity to find the answer I was searching for. I was lost after reaching what I had thought was my dream, my ambition, and feeling hollow after. I wanted to find the answer to what it meant to live by the sword through this story. And in that moment, I had become Musashi Miyamoto. Musashi is a special character to me. Unlike Zoro or Blackstar or even Sasuke, characters that I had formed strong affinities for and built my essence around trying to be more like them on my path, Musashi showed me the truth, a truth that I could not see. By going on this journey with him, I witnessed a man fighting just like me to find the meaning in his own existence. From his fight in his home village and proverbial defeat at the hand of Takon Soho, I saw a boy who had been treated like a demon his whole life finally accept that it's okay to live. From his first defeat as Musashi Miyamoto against the Yoshioka clan, I witnessed a man realize the limits of his current strength and the overwhelming high mountain he must climb to make his ambition come true. From his fight with Inshin, his encounter with Old Man Yagyu, the deathmatch with Kohei Tsuchikaze, or even simple conversations with characters like the swordsmith. Not only would I be in awe at how beautifully illustrated and well written this story is, but I would also see glimpses of my past, times where I'd been through what Musashi was going through, so to speak. I would feel his pain, fear, frustration, but also his joy, his excitement, the anticipation for the next battle ahead. I felt as though I was there with him traveling the dirt roads across Japan. As Musashi attempted to strengthen his way of the sword by taking on strong opponents, I was trying to understand mine. And this all came to a head here. This is one of the greatest battles I've ever come across in any story, period. One man battling to survive and prove his strength against 70 swordsmen who fight to protect their honor and avenge the heads of their clan who had been cut down by Musashi. This fight is awe-inspiring. Intense page turn after page turn of grit, passion, bloodlust, and a clash of ideals. One man fighting to the best of his ability to make it out alive, fighting to prove that he is truly invincible under the sun. Musashi Miyamoto defeated all 70 men that day, and yet he felt empty. Like I said before, Vagabond is full of quotes and words of wisdom. They may be teachings of the Buddhist faith, or simple words to live by from characters who had lived long, fulfilled lives. And while I definitely was impacted by a number of these quotes and found profound meaning in them, often I would come across words that felt a tad cliche. Obvious surface level advice that could boil down to live a good life, or be kind, or go your own way. Important, sure, but nothing you haven't heard before. The one that stuck out the most to me was, focus too much on the leaf, you'll miss the tree. Focus too much on the tree, you'll miss the forest. I would see this quote a few times throughout the story, but I found no meaning in it. They just felt rather hollow, and I wasn't alone in that. Musashi too did not fully understand why these words were meant to be so thought-provoking. But it was here on the battlefield against the Yoshioka clan that it all started to make sense. As Musashi, now crippled by the great battle and disillusioned by the lack of fulfillment from achieving what he had been fighting for, wanders the land, rebuking this cycle of death and killing he had once called ambition, cursing the part of him that once hungered for combat, damning his bloodlust for proving his strength, and declaring himself invincible under the sun. Once you've decided to live by the sword, doesn't matter whether you're right or wrong. What matters most is whether it's fun. As tears flow down Musashi's face, so do tears fall down mine. The missing piece to the puzzle had been found. I finally see now. My leaf had consumed me. It wasn't my ambition. It wasn't my channel. It wasn't my videos. It wasn't my talent. My leaf was me. I had become so focused on my own self-loathing, concentrating on hating who I was, and doing everything in my power to fight against it instead of letting go. For it was simply a leaf in the vastness of the forest. My friends, my family, my interests, the experiences I've had, the laughs I've shared, the people I've met, and the love I've felt. I am a product of so many things that had led me to this point. While life has had its lows, I've had plenty of highs. This life can be ugly sometimes, but it's also full of beauty, and I'm starting to think the point of this existence of mine is to appreciate all of it. My way of the sword had been creating art for people who maybe feel the same thing I felt, who've been through similar things and experienced similar emotions, to try to reach people through the things that I create. And while I was doing so, focusing so hard on trying to cast out the person that I hated so much inside, I've had so much fun in every other area, but I was just too blind to see it. Musashi realized in that moment that rebuking his ambition was not the answer. Being faced with the truth that even though his mindset had been skewed, his way of the sword brought him joy. That what was missing was something he had lost since he was a child. Inner peace, becoming one with infinity. To truly be one with heaven and earth, you must let go of the self, that inside you exists all that you ever need. And I see that now. Like a message in a bottle reaching sandy shores at my feet, or a specifically shaped cloud above as I stare into the infinite sky. When I was at my lowest point, trying my hardest to make sense of what I had perceived as my failed veil of an ambition, a sign from the heavens appeared before me. That sign was Vagabond, what was supposed to be a simple, enjoyable read-through of a series that many of my close friends considered to be a great manga, became a journey of self-discovery through these pages as I walked alongside a character whose life and struggle oddly resembled the internal battle I had been facing. Thanks to the amazing artistry of Takehiko Inoue, a man who needs no introduction from me, I was able to let go of my leaf and become one with infinity by understanding the story of Musashi Miyamoto. I no longer want to run from who I am. I no longer want to hold on to this pain. I want to appreciate what this life has to offer. I want to smile more too. It wasn't my ambition that was the problem. It was simply the vessel I used to continue to hide from my problems, but no more. I can now live my life free and use my way of the sword to share that freedom with as many people as I can. Thank you, Musashi. You weren't a character that I was aspiring to be. You were me, a mirror being held up so I could finally face what I was running from, a friend who I was able to walk this path with. So I'll keep going till I master my way of the sword. And I never got to say this to you, but thank you too, Mom. I don't know if these words will ever reach you, but at the very least, they will live on here. I'll smile more, and I'll keep chasing my ambition.